So it looks like we're going off script yet again. So at this point we should all know what chain letters are. So in the simplest and most cliche form, chain letters are letters that once you read them, you will be greeted with great misfortune, usually resulting in death. I've read a couple of chain letters throughout my life so far, and I'm sure you have too. But like most likely you are, I'm still alive. I've even read a letter here on this channel, and it was the most famous one, The Legend of Carmen Winstead. For a full breakdown on that one, just go over to my uploads and find it there. However, I thought it'd be fun if we took a look at, other chain letters and, not forward them so that maybe I could, die, I guess. I'm depressing. I know. But it's all in the name of research. It's fine. I want to find out if any chain letters out there are actually real, though I doubt it. Let's continue. Also, if you haven't figured it out, I'm kinda sick, as you can tell from my nasally voice. So, I hope that doesn't bother you too much. Anyway, on to the chain letters. Okay, so all the chain letters we'll be reading today come courtesy from scaryforkids.com. Not sponsored, but that's where I found them. The first chain letter we'll be reading is Teddy. Teddy is a scary chain letter that tells the story of a little dead boy who will kill you in your sleep if you don't share his message. Once you read this chain letter, you cannot get out. Finish reading until it is done. Hi, I am Teddy. I am 7 years old. I have no eyes and blood all over my face. I am dead. If you don't send this to at least 12 people, I will come to your house at midnight and I'll hide under your bed. When you're asleep, I'll kill you. Don't believe me? Case 1. Patty Buckles got this chain email. She didn't believe in chain letters. Well, foolish Patty. She was sleeping when her TV started flickering on and off. Now, she's not with us anymore. Patty. You don't want to be like Patty, do you? Case 2. George M. Simon. George M. Simon hated chain emails, but he didn't want to die that night. He sent it to 4 people. Not good enough, George. Now, George is in a coma. We don't know if he'll ever wake up. George. Now, do you want to be like George? Case 3. Valerie Tyler got this chain email. Just another chain letter. Or so she thought. Only had 7 people to send it to. Well, that night, when she was having a shower, she saw a bloody figure in the mirror. She got the biggest fright of her life, and Valerie is scarred for the rest of her life. Case 4. Derek Mintz. He was a smart person. He sent it to 12 people. Later that day, he found a $100 bill on the ground. He was promoted to head manager at his job, and his girlfriend agreed to marry him. Now he and his wife are living happily ever after. They have 2 beautiful children. Share the link with at least 12 people, or you will face the consequences. If you send it to 0 people, you will die tonight. If you send it to 1 or 6 people, you will be injured. If you send it to 7 to 11 people, you will get the biggest fright of your life. If you send it to 12 or more, you are safe, and will have good fortune. Well, that's that. So, sorry Teddy, I ain't sending this to anyone. Fight me, I'll be waiting at my bed. Okay, next chain letter. This one is titled Clarissa. Clarissa is a scary chain letter about a little girl who is an insane killer. Warning, this is not a joke. Carry on reading or you will die. Once there was a little girl called Clarissa. She was 10 years old, and she lived in a mental hospital because she killed her mom and dad. She got so bad, she went to kill all the staff in the hospital. So the government decided the best idea was to get rid of her. So they set up a special room to kill her. As humanely as possible, but it went wrong. The machine they were using went wrong, and she sat there in agony for hours until she finally died. Now, every week on the day of her death, she returns to the person that reads this chain letter on the Monday night at 12 a.m. She creeps into your room and kills you slowly by cutting you and watching you bleed to death. Now, send this link to 10 other people, and she will haunt someone else who doesn't pass this on, like you did. And she will forget about you. Example: Jenny didn't believe this, and deleted it, without even reading the whole thing. A few days later, on the Monday night, she was woken up by loud footsteps and heavy breathing. Clarissa was standing there with a huge knife, and well, Jenny is history now. Well, I'm not going to forward this one either. Let's see if she comes over and stabs me. That'd be fun, I guess. We can hang out and stuff after, I guess. I'll probably be dead, but maybe I'll make a chain letter. If you don't forward this video to 12 other people, you're gonna die. Alright? If you don't like it either, you're gonna die. Cool? Cool. Next chain letter. This chain letter is titled The Sleepover. The Sleepover is a chain letter about a group of girls who have a slumber party that goes way wrong. This is scary. You can't go back now. There were 5 girls who were all friends and were members of a sleepover club. Every Saturday, they would have a slumber party at one of the girls' houses. One night, when the girls were having a sleepover, they heard loud noises and screaming outside. It seemed to be coming from the end of the street. They went down to find out what was happening. They learned that a woman had been murdered and the man who killed her was still on the loose. They ran home as quickly as their legs would carry them. Terrified, they locked their windows and bolted their doors. Everything was quiet for a while, but then they started to hear weird noises coming from outside. Their imaginations ran wild, and they thought the killer was coming for them. Gripped by terror, they hid inside a closet and waited. They heard heavy footsteps coming up the stairs. The footsteps kept getting closer and closer, and the girls held their breath, afraid to make even a little sound. Suddenly, the closet door was opened, and a man stood there. The girls screamed and ran in different directions. 4 of the girls went downstairs and locked the cellar door behind them. The man caught the 5th girl and took her into the bathroom, where he skinned her alive. The bathroom was right above the cellar, and the 4 girls were forced to listen as their friend was murdered. They listened to her scratching at the floor and calling their names, but they couldn't do anything to help her. They heard her die that night. In the morning, when the man had fled, the remaining girls came out of the cellar. When they went into the bathroom, they were confronted by a horrible sight. There, scratched into the wall, was a final message from their friend. "How could you have let me die?" With tears in their eyes, they looked up and saw her flesh dangling from the knife that had skinned her. If you don't share a link to this page, then the man will come and skin you alive too, because they haven't caught him yet, and the girl will make sure you die so she can pass on her tale. This one confuses me. How is this man going to find me? Is the little girl, or is the girl gonna tell the man where I am? Is she possessing him now? I don't know, this one confuses me. If someone can explain, feel free to do so. This one is called Scary Mary. Scary Mary is a chain letter that tells a story about a girl who took her own life, and appears in the mirror if you read about her. This creepy chainmail originated in the Czech Republic. Czech Republic. Czech Republic. Whatever. Anyway. About a year ago, I got a very strange email. It contained a shocking photo of a girl who had committed suicide. It said her name was Scary Mary, and years ago, she had lived alone with her mother in a little farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. According to the story, the girl was beautiful, but she was so insecure about her looks that she didn't believe it. She thought she was hideously ugly, and hated to see herself in the mirror. She was also very lonely, and never had a boyfriend. It said she became so obsessed with her looks that she was suicidal, and started cutting herself. One day, she was so depressed that she took a knife and started hacking away at her own face. She gouged out her eyes and slit her mouth open, then set fire to the house. She sat there bleeding as the flames engulfed her, and she was burned to death. It said that if I didn't share her story with 10 people in the next 7 days, the dead girl would come and find me. I don't believe in these sort of things, so I immediately deleted it. That was a big mistake. Exactly a week later, I had a free afternoon, and I had nothing to do. So, I decided to visit a friend of mine. When I was on the way to her house, the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and I got the strangest feeling that someone was sneaking up behind me. When I turned around, there was nobody there. I tried to shrug it off and put it out of my mind. When I got to my friend's house, we talked for a while, and then I excused myself to the bathroom. After I went to the toilet, I was washing my hands in the sink, and I happened to glance in the mirror, and I saw something dripping on my shoulder. It was blood. I got such a fright, but when I put my hand up to my cheek and looked at it, there was nothing there. No gash, no drops of blood, no nothing. I looked in the mirror again, and to my horror, I saw a bloody figure standing behind me. It was the dead girl from the email, and she was holding a knife. I screamed and turned around, but there was nothing there. I was so scared. My hands were trembling, and my heart was pumping fast. I ran to the door. All I wanted to do was get out of that bathroom, but the door wouldn't open. I kept turning the key in the lock and shake the handle, but I couldn't open it. I was banging on the door with my fist and screaming at the top of my lungs. I don't know what happened then. I must have fainted. When I woke up, I was lying on the couch and my friend was standing over me. She told me she heard me screaming and she had to break open the bathroom door to get in to get me. She found me lying in the heap on the floor, unconscious. I was so embarrassed, but I was relieved to be out of there. Then I put my hands up to my face, and I felt something wet on my cheek. It was blood. There was a gash down my cheek, about 1 inch long. It was in exactly the same spot where I saw the blood dripping on me in the mirror. Believe it or not, this really happened. I still have the scar on my cheek to prove it. If you don't want Scary Mary to visit you, share the link to this page with 10 people in the next 7 days. Yeah, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not afraid of, most ghosts, I guess. I've yet to see one. And I'm definitely not afraid of some discount Bloody Mary. Okay, let's do one more. Let me see what else this website has. Last chain letter. This one is titled The Saki Chain Letter. The Saki Chain Letter tells the story of a deformed Japanese girl who took her own life because of bullying. They say that she is looking for revenge and kills anyone who does not share her story. Warning, if you don't want to share the link to this page, do not read it. Her name was Saki, and she was born with a severe deformity. She had only one large, bulbous eye, She kept her face covered with her long black hair to hide her shame. From the time she started school, she had to endure bullying because of her appearance. Every day, the kids in her class made fun of her and called her horrible names. Not only did she suffer bullying in school, but she was always bullied by anonymous people on the internet. They left vile and disgusting comments on her social media pages. Some of them even told her to kill herself because she was too ugly to live. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore. One day, instead of going to school, she climbed up to the top of an abandoned building and tied a rope around her neck. Then, after she scribbled a quick note, she jumped off the edge. The force of the fall yanked off her head, and it was tossed into the air. Her body was discovered lying on the ground in a pool of blood. Her head was never found. On the roof of the abandoned building, they found the suicide note she left behind. It simply read, "Thank you for all the pain." When Saki's mother heard the news about her daughter's death, she was devastated. But then, she found out the reason for her daughter's suicide, and she was outraged and immediately went looking for those responsible. She wrote a message and sent it to all the students and teachers in the junior high school. Here is the message the mother sent. "Are you the one who killed my precious Saki? Are you the hateful person who took my daughter's life? If you are, Saki will have her revenge on you. You will die just as she did. Send this to 10 people in the next 24 hours. If you do not, it means that you have a guilty conscience, and you are one of those vile people who bullied her. Saki will know. Saki will come. Saki will kill. The guilty must be punished." Within days, every student in the school had received this message. 10 of them were found dead under mysterious circumstances. Their heads had been torn off their bodies. They were all students who were guilty of bullying Saki. None of them had forwarded the message. At first, the police suspected Saki's mother. They arrested her and took her down to the station for questioning. However, in the end, they had to release her because there was no evidence against her. There were numerous witnesses who had been with her at the time of the murders. As more and more people forwarded the message, it made its way around the internet. Here is the experience of one person who received it. One day, my friend and I received this message on our phones. My friend was scared by it, but I just found it amusing. He wanted to forward the message, but although he was reluctant, I convinced him not to send it. That night, while I was sleeping, I heard a strange sound that woke me up. I saw a hideous young girl standing at my bedroom window. She was staring down at me with her one big eye. I immediately grabbed my phone and forwarded the message. The girl vanished before my eyes. I was so scared I couldn't go back to sleep. The next day, I found out that my friend had died. He was murdered in his bed. I didn't believe in it before, but now I do. If you don't want to be a victim, please, everyone, forward this message. Share the link to this page with your friends within the next 24 hours. If you don't, Saki will know, and Saki will find you. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. Well, like all chain letters, I don't believe this one either. I'm pretty sure I'll be alive by tomorrow, and I just heard a thud, and that scared me. But that was coincidence. I swear. Anyway, if you want to see me, reading more cursed stuff, more chain letters, please let me know, and also, let me know if you actually believe if these chain letters are real, or if anything scary actually happened to you. I know some people mentioned in the comments before that the Carmen Winstead letter was true, but I'm still alive, so I don't know. Then again, I'm not a super interesting person to talk to in real life, so why would ghosts want to bother to talk to me anyway? Well, with that out of the way, let me leave you with this little factoid. Did you know, it actually is illegal to send a chain letter? Not those cursed ones that tell you to forward it or you will die, but chain letters that request money or other items of value.